everyone. Welcome to this video. Welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Brenda. I'm an artist and a certified Zentangle teacher. Today is Mindful Monday. And on Mindful Mondays, we take a little bit of time for ourselves to kind of let the world fall away and just focus on this very moment that we're in. Think of it as a practice to being more mindful every day. So I'm going to guide you through the 8 steps of the Zentangle method of drawing. I believe it is magic. It has changed my life, and who knows, it could change yours if you give it a try. So we begin this process with step 1, gratitude and appreciation. In this step, we are just going to do a little breathing exercise that will help to settle us into the moment. So begin with a big deep breath in, getting tall as you breathe in, and exhale and relax everything down. And another big breath in, and exhale. One final big breath in, and out. And now just let your breathing fall into its natural rhythm. And pay attention to your breath. Just notice it. Thoughts are going to come in. That's natural. Let that be okay. And recognize the thought, and then just release it. And go back to focusing on your breath. In and out. Just breathe. Now take a moment and think about something that you are grateful for. Just grab that first thought that popped into your head and hold on to that and really feel into that gratitude. What does gratitude feel like? And as we draw our tile today, I want you to remember this feeling and bring it into your practice. And if you find yourself a little flustered or just in need of a little break, go ahead and stop yourself. Take a big breath in and out. And then you'll be ready to go back and start again. That is step 1. I know I feel much better than I did when I began. A little bit more centered, a little bit more in this moment. And I am going to go ahead and let you know what we're going to use today. I'm going to use a Micron PN pen, PN for plastic nib. It's a wider nib, makes a wider mark, but it's also plastic, and I like that because I have a heavy hand, as I've mentioned before. I'm going to use a pencil. I have a little short Zentangle pencil, but any pencil will do. That's where we're going to get our graphite for shading. And this is a tortillon, which is really just kind of a rolled up piece of paper that rolls to a point. And this is what we are using to blend the graphite out when we get to our shading. So, as our little mascot Bijou always likes to remind us, there are no mistakes. Don't be concerned about any mark you make. It's all good. And I will be drawing on a 3.5 inch white Zentangle tile. It is my favorite tile to work on. If you like to add color, we are not doing that today, but if you like to add color, it's a really nice tile for that because it's really kind of a watercolor paper with a smooth surface, perfect for drawing on. Okay, now step 2 is our corner dots, and all we do here is simply make a dot in each of the 4 corners of our tile. Step 3 is a border, and we create our border by connecting our 4 dots. Step 4 is the string. And today we are going to play with some very basic tangles. And I'm going to use a string you've seen me use before if you've been watching me for a while. And it's kind of the basic curved archway in the off to the side. So I'm going to start, you can start on any side. I like to begin like halfway down the side. And I'm going to do a curved line in the corner. So I'm going to bring that down to about the center on the bottom. That's my first string line. My next line is going to be, I think I'm going about 1 inch wide. And I am going to aura the first line to create my band. Not perfect, but nothing is. So there's my string. That's all there is to it. I am going to put my pencil away now and pick up my pen. Again, I'm using the Micron PN pen, which is a fatter nib. You can use any pen that you have. You can use an 01 if you prefer a finer line. But today we're going to begin with our little band in the center. And we are going to draw the tangle doodah. Doodah is really fun and super simple. So we're going to begin by drawing right on top of our pencil lines. And I'm going to keep mine within the border today. And then I'm going to aura that by drawing on the other line, the other string line. And notice I'm turning my tile as I go, and that allows me to keep my wrist relaxed and my lines a little bit more consistent. So that's our first step. Now the next step with doodah is to aura each one of these lines. I am going to aura on the inside of this band. So I'm going to start here. Then I'm going to turn it and come up here. I'm right-handed, so I like to make sure the line I'm drawing the aura next to is in somewhere I can see, which for me is to the left and above. So I'm going to draw my second aura like this. Okay, there's our first 2 steps in doodah. Now the next step is to fill the center with straight lines coming in from the sides. With a tangle like this, I tend to begin somewhere in the center and at the top, and I'm just going to draw a line down, but I'm not going to touch the line below, so I'm stopping short of hitting that line. My next line is the same in reverse, so I'm going to start at the top but drawing in the air about the same distance, and this one will connect to the bottom. The next one drops from the top and stops, and then the next one starts short below the top and goes to the bottom. So you're just alternating these lines, and you're going to fill the space with these lines. They can be as close together or as far apart as you like. And take your time and remember to turn your tile, since we have this band. And we want to make sure that they all look like they're coming in from the side and coming in straight. So that's easier to accomplish when you turn your tile. So just giving you little tips, especially in the curve. Okay. And that is doodah. That is all there is to that tangle. So we're moving on now to our second tangle, and that is a tangle we're going to put here in this corner section. This tangle is printom, and I'm just going to start in the corner. And I am just going to kind of draw these small spirals for our printom. I'm only going to put a few here in the corner. I'm not going to fill this whole space here. I'm going to put another tangle in there. Okay. And now I'm going to put another very basic tangle in above the printom, and it is going to start at my aura line, my border line here for my doodah. And this is crescent moon. It's been a while, I think, since I put a crescent moon in one of my Mindful Monday videos. And since it's one of the very beginning tangles I teach, I thought it would be a good time to bring that back. So we begin this tangle by drawing a half moon shape, half circle. Sometimes we call them ladybugs. And I'm drawing those on this line. I think I'm going to have a half of one here. Then I'm going to turn it around and draw it this way. I think I'll leave that good enough. So the next thing we're going to do is fill these ladybug shapes in, or our half circles, with solid black. I use small circular motions and go over and over the same space, try to fill it in solid. So take your time with this step because it really is quite meditative. Don't be concerned that your ladybug shapes are not all the same size. It's not a problem. Remember, there are no mistakes. And I personally like the quirkiness that sometimes I get with my crazy uneven shapes. So I embraced it. And I'm happier for it. Okay, so that is the first step in crescent moon. Now, crescent moon is a tangle that we use to teach the concept of the aura. And we've already used the aura in our doodah shape, but we're going to go ahead and refresh our memory. We are just drawing a line that mirrors the shape or the line that is next to it. So I'm aura-ing or putting an aura around my ladybug shapes. And I'm going to put one around each one. And you see, my shapes are not perfect. Do not be concerned. Okay, let's do one more aura. And I don't have enough room here to go down on both sides, so I'm just stopping it and making another turn. Same thing here, just not all the way down. But you know, I could if I wanted to, so maybe I will bring it all the way down. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing, another little row of crescent moon, and I'm going to do those coming out from behind our printom. So these will have a different look because it's not going against a line. That's okay. And again, we are just going to fill these in with solid black. Okay, there are our ladybug shapes. And the next thing we're going to do is put an aura around each one. And another one. And a final one. I think I'm going to do one more aura that just auras the inside of the whole thing. So we're going to stick with our border. I'm going to turn our tile as we go. Okay. And if we wanted, we could like use a spiral inward, but I like drama. And today I'm thinking we're just going to fill this in with solid black. Because why not? Okay, I'm done with my crescent moon in the center here with my black negative space there. And I am going to do another tangle, which is a very beginner tangle in the space over here. Now, this is the tangle Hollybaw. Hollybaw is just a bunch of lines with an aura. So I'm going to draw one. Let's start right here. We'll draw one across. And you can make them straight. You can make them curvy. You can make them skinny. You can make them wide. There's my first one. Some people call them ribbons. Some people call them planks, boards. Kind of looks like a pile of wood when you're done sometimes. So I'm going to draw my next board, and it's going to go underneath or behind this one. So lots of tangles use this concept of drawing behind. You saw me do it here with my crescent moon that went behind my printout. So what we do to get that effect is I'm going to draw my second board going behind, like I said, and I'm going to start. When I get to this first board, I'm going to stop, bring my pen up like I'm drawing in the air. Then I'm going to put it down on the other side of that board or line. And then I'm going to draw the rest of my line. I'm going to aura this and do the same thing. Stop, draw in the air, and go down. Okay. And that is Hollybaw. And again, you can make these lines as big or as small as you like, as thick or thin, if you will. They can come from any direction. But it's a great opportunity to practice drawing behind whenever you include this tangle. And I'm just going to keep drawing different boards coming from different directions. until I feel like it's got enough. Okay, that's a little wonky looking, but that's okay. That's our basic idea for that tangle holly ball. But I'm going to add something to this holly ball. I'm going to add some more crescent moon, but they're going to kind of like be little bugs. Remember I mentioned some people call these ladybug shapes. Well, these aren't going to look like ladybugs. They're just going to look like crescent moons. But I'm going to think of them like little bugs crawling on this wood. So I've got my ladybug shape with one aura. And now a second aura. And I'm going to put another one over here. One aura. And another aura. This guy's a little smaller. That's okay. Let's put one here. This one's probably going to go behind this board there. So. Just a couple more, I think. Maybe we'll do one that is like a partial one here. I guess one more. We'll do one more over here. And it's not going to be very big either because it's got the border. I'm going to let the border cut it off. There. Okay, I think we're done with step 5, our tangles. And we have doodah, printom, crescent moon, holly ball with some little ladybug crescent moons walking around on the wood, the boards. So I'm finished with my pen. I'm going to put that aside and pick up my pencil. And we are moving on to step 6, which is the shading. So I'm going to begin with doodah because that's where I began in my drawing. And I am going to put a little bit of graphite right next to the aura line on the inside of my tangle. And I'm going to do that on both sides. You notice I'm kind of using the end, the side of the tip, side of the point to put my graphite down. And I use a little circular motion. And I'm picking my tortillon up now, and I'm going to blend this out. And I do that pretty much the same. Round it and kind of pull it down as I go around. Not very far. Gotta leave some white in order to have contrast. If it's all just graphite, then there's no shading. It's just all graphite. And step 6, we call it shading. It's all about adding shades of gray and areas of contrast, dark against light. Shading also will at times give your tangles or patterns a dimensional look. Okay, so I think we're done shading our doodah. Okay, I'm going back to my pencil, and I'm going to come in here to my printemps next, and we've got everywhere that our crescent moon goes behind, we want to add a little graphite right at that line. We're adding it to the crescent moon side, but it's really close to the printemps side. And the other thing I can do for printemps is, it looks like these go behind. Maybe that one goes behind. That one maybe. And honestly, there's not a whole lot more shading we need to do. So I've got my tortillon now, and I'm going to start here where printemps meets crescent moon, and I'm just keeping it close to the line and blending it out. I'm trying to keep it off the black ink of the solid ladybug shapes, because honestly, they're not going to get any darker. They would just get lighter. So try to keep it off that. But that's also not a big deal, so don't go crazy over it. Okay, blend that out a little bit. Blend this out. This one out. And I'm just kind of pulling the graphite around a little bit. And I'm just using what's on my tortillon. I'm not adding more graphite. So, okay, so that's all I need for printemps. Next, we're going to do our crescent moon. So we go back to our pencil. Essentially, we've done this side, so we only need to do this side. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add a little bit of graphite everywhere the crescent moon meets our doodah tangle. And then we'll blend that out. Again, trying to keep it off the black as much as we can. Okay, and if you wanted, you could add just kind of a little bit of graphite on this aura space, but again, that's not something you would have to do. Okay, now our last tangle, which is Hollybaugh. I am going to put graphite everywhere a board goes underneath. I'm going to put it on the board underneath, but very close to the board above. I don't always get them all in the first pass, but you know what? That's okay. You can catch them as you go as well. And I'm sure if you miss one, it won't even be a big deal. Okay, so let's begin with this top one here. And again, we're just blending it out, bringing it down. Trying not to go too far away from the edge. So we don't want everything to be dark. Didn't have anything here, but I have plenty on my tortillon, so. Looks like I missed these too. That's okay. And I probably should put some here where they meet up with doodah. Just kind of blending these out so there's not such a harsh line or edge to the shading. Okay, I guess the only other thing would be where they meet the border. So again, we're just using what we have on our tortillon. You can see how it can be easy to get too much graphite on this when there's hardly any white left on the boards. But I think we did it. Should do the same thing here, I suppose. Okay, and one final thing we can do is to add a little graphite everywhere we have our little ladybug. Okay, so let's blend that out and see how that looks. And if you want, you can try just lightly on the top where it goes against the background, so you have something to help it stand out. And I think that is pretty good. So we're done with step 6, the shading. We only have a couple steps left, and we're going to go back to our pen for step 7, which is to initial and sign. So I am going to put my chop, which is my chop is an artist mark, and mine is kind of a stylized version of my initials. So I'm going to put mine here. I'm going to kind of go behind this little shape. So there is my chop. And then I'm going to flip it over. And the Zentangle tiles have some lines on there. That's nice. Keep you writing in a straight line. So I'm going to sign it on the back. I will date it, but I'm going to do that off camera. And then I like to name my tangles. So we began with Duda. And then we did Printemps. Then we did Crescent Moon. And then we did Holly-Ball. And you can put any notes that you want on the back of your tile. And I am going to make a note that I created this for my Mindful Monday 68. And that is step 7. Step 8 is just simply now to sit back and appreciate your tile, appreciate the time that you took today for yourself. This is a practice. I used to do it daily. I'm a full-time caregiver now for my brother. He has a traumatic brain injury, so I don't always get to do it every day, but I certainly try. And hopefully you drew along with me and enjoyed the process. So that is all there is to the Zentangle method of drawing. I hope you did draw with me, and if you did, please feel free to tag me if you're sharing them on social. I love to come and see what you're doing and give you a little bit of love for watching along. So that's all for today's video. I hope to see you next time, but until then, remember to be you and be happy.